What is going on, guys? Noah Brewer here, back again with another video, and today we are going to talk about the 5 things that you need to know before getting into e-commerce. Now, this is not going to be a video talking about like, oh, it's not a get-rich-quick scheme. Oh, it's a real business. You won't actually, make a ton of money tomorrow. That's not what this video is going to be at all. I don't want this to be like a generic, like, oh, 5 things you should know video. I'm actually going to be going in depth and talk about things that you truly would not know unless you either experienced it yourself or somebody that did experience it told you about it. So I just wanted to say that up front that this is not going to be one of those generic like 5 things you need to know videos. I'm actually going to be going in depth and talk about a lot more specific things that maybe people haven't pointed out, at least for what I've seen on other people's YouTube channels. Things that a lot of people don't talk about simply because it doesn't get clicks on YouTube, or it's just not super popular shit to talk about. But I truly believe that this stuff, you need to know it. And if you don't know it, you will know it eventually. So I figured it's probably best for you to actually watch this video and hear it from me instead of figuring out on your own. So number 1, in the e-commerce world, dropshipping world, building a brand world, the truth is that your success relies on your ability and your chance on finding a winning product. Now, I know a lot of people that come into this space, they think that they can just take a product that they think is good and put it out into the marketplace and use some sort of magical whiz strategy to make it sell. And I'm sorry to tell you, but 99% of the time, it is not going to work like that. And even though there are unique situations where you can do this, right? Like with the right marketing, the right angle, you can force a product to sell. That's not my point here. My point is you do not want to think this way, because essentially what's going to happen is you're going to waste a ton of time, a ton of money. You're going to get hopeful and you're going to lose confidence in yourself. You're going to get discouraged because you're spending all this time and money trying to force a product to sell that just sucks. Now, if you're somebody who's more experienced, you can for sure take a product and force it to work. And you can invest as much money as you want, and you can invest as much money as much time as you want into it. And you probably can make it work. And I just want you to, don't think this way, especially if you're a beginner. Don't think that you could just take any product and, force it to work and put it out there and it's going to work, because that's not the case at all. As a matter of fact, I think most people that start off run into this issue, and this is kind of the first lesson that they learn, like, holy shit, this product that I thought was so good, and it's such a good product, solves a big problem, it's so cheap, that it's so affordable, whatever. And then they go out and test it and it sucks. And they're like, okay, well, maybe my store wasn't built the right way. So they rebuild their store, they test it again. Now they're $200 in. And they're like, okay, maybe my targeting was off. They test the store, it didn't work again. Maybe my targeting was off. Okay, test some new targeting. Maybe my creatives were bad. Test some new creatives. Maybe the ad copy just wasn't good. So like now you're talking about spending thousands of dollars just going down this rabbit hole of, questioning why it didn't work, as opposed to just following a proven strategy from the beginning. And if it doesn't work, just moving on quickly, because you don't really want to sit there for, weeks on weeks and spend thousands of dollars to just force a product to work. I do want to say that testing products is a part of the game. Like, that's just kind of what we all do here. Anybody in e-commerce that doesn't test products is missing out on a bunch of potential. Some people that I've talked to, actually, every single product that they test works. And I would like to say you're not testing enough products. If every single product that you try works, you're just not doing enough, and that's just the fact of the matter. And yeah, testing products is a part of the game. Do not get hung up on a single product, especially as a beginner. Know exactly what you're doing. Have a proven method to follow, and if the product doesn't work using the proven method, then just move on to the next one. Number 2, you will make the most money on your next store, on your second store. So this is kind of like a coin term that I like to talk about a lot with people that I just mastermind with and talk to. But essentially, it's like the old saying that they say: you make the most money on your second real estate investment. You make your most money on your second business. And the same thing goes for dropshipping and in e-commerce in general. When you find your first winning product, yes, it will make you money, but you're also going to lose a lot of money just by testing new methods. You're going to have a lot of lost revenue. Like, lost revenue is revenue that you could have gotten if you knew what you're doing, as opposed to what you couldn't get because you didn't know what you were doing. You're going to have issues with payment processors and all this stuff that you can't really avoid. You can do your best to avoid it, but essentially my point is your first winning product is going to be a huge learning lesson, and you need to be able to walk away from it with that in mind, so that you can actually make the most money on your next one. And even at my level, where I've grown literally hundreds of successful stores, I'm a true believer that the money is made on the next one still at this point, because you just get better and better and better over time, and it never stops being true. So especially when you're a beginner and you're making all those beginner mistakes, you'll make your money on your second store. Now, one thing I do want to say is this can be somewhat avoided if you hire like my agency, for example, or if you hire a mentor. This can be avoided to some extent, but there's just so many moving parts. There's so many things that can go wrong, so many things that can go right, and it's just really hard to control, especially when you're lacking that experience yourself. Regardless of how good the agency is, regardless of how good the mentor is, your lack of experience is going to hold you back on your first store. And the number 3 thing, profits are not what you think they are. Now, you hear a lot of people talking about, like, okay, I'm doing $1,000 a day in profit, or I'm doing $5,000 a day in profit. It's not like where you work at your job, where you work a certain amount of hours and then somebody cuts you a check at the end of the week. That's not how it works. Essentially, you have thousands of dollars, sometimes even tens of thousands, depending on how big your store is, moving through, like, in and out of your bank account every single day. And your ability to manage money is imperative when you're scaling with e-commerce, because nobody's cutting you a check for $1,000 and then you can just go deposit that and now you have $1,000. It doesn't work like that. Like, you're gonna have $9,000 leave your bank account and then $10,000 come in, or you're gonna have $3,000 leave your bank account and have $4,000 come in. So it's really hard to explain what this feels like and what this looks like in a real bank account. But it's very easy to be doing $1,000 a day in profitable on paper. But if you look at your bank account, you can very easily be broke if you're not managing that money well. Like, you need to know when the money's coming in, where the money is going out, like all the little nitty gritty things, like what are your expenses, who are you paying, where are you paying, all these little things, what are your transaction fees. So essentially, all I want to say is when you're making $1,000 a day in profit, it's a completely different type of profit than the profit that you would get from a job. And I don't really know any other way to put it to make this make sense, because it sounds weird, right? Like, if you're doing $1,000 a day in profit, why wouldn't you have $1,000 a day to spend? But anybody in the comment section, if you've experienced this, I know like every single store that I've grown has definitely experienced this, where if you're doing $1,000 a day in profit, it literally does not feel like it. It actually feels like you're losing money for the first month or so, just because there's so much money moving around and it's hard to kind of keep up with it. But yeah, people that have had profitable stores, just back me in the comment section, because I know that people don't talk about this shit, and I want people to talk about it, because it kind of like, once you experience it, you're like, oh, I'm doing $1,000 a day in profit. Why am I not rich yet? And the reason is because nobody's cutting you a check. It's money in and out. It's a little bit different than working a job. Number 4, back end is just as, if not more important than your front end marketing. So what I mean by this is your shipping times, your customer experience, your customer support. Essentially, how you operate your business is more important. It's actually becoming more important than your front end marketing is. Essentially, if you suck at getting a good supplier and getting good shipping times, if you suck at getting a really good VA for customer support, like, you are just going to get eat up and you will not last long. Like, that's just the fact of the matter. Anybody can go out and find a winning product and scale it. It's maintaining that winning product and actually turning it into something that can make money, at least in the medium term. Like, I understand not all winning products are going to make you money, in the long term, but at least being able to maintain it past, 60 days, 90 days, just a few months, by, improving your shipping times, having really good customer support, all these things. And if you don't do these things, like I said, you're not going to last long, especially if you're a beginner. Facebook will ban you, PayPal will ban you, Stripe will ban you, Shopify will ban you. And these things are super hard to recover. So like, for example, on your first store, you're likely going to get PayPal banned. If you haven't gotten your PayPal banned, it's probably going to happen. It happens to everybody. Same exact thing with Facebook ads. Like, Facebook ads be banning everybody with no remorse, which we'll get into the next slide, how you can kind of like avoid that and you know, protect yourself against this kind of stuff happening. But it will happen, and these are like really hard to recover. Like, once you get your PayPal banned and it's attached to your name, there's a slight chance that you may never be able to run with PayPal again. Like, once they kind of trigger you as like, you know, banned from their platform, it's very hard to get them back. So that's why I'm starting to say that backend is becoming more important than front end, because like I said, anybody can get a winner, anybody can scale it, but not everybody can actually have a really great experience on their store for the customers, like with decent shipping times, good customer support, you know, all these things that make a great brand. Not everybody can figure those out, or maybe they're just too lazy to. I don't really know the reason. But essentially, there's more to e-commerce, especially nowadays, than just making money. Like, I'd say back in the day, a couple of years ago, you could get away with having like, you know, bullshit customer support and 30-day shipping times and 60-day shipping times. But nowadays, with Facebook cracking down, PayPal, Shopify, Stripe, you know, all these guys are totally cracking down on this stuff, and you have to keep your A game. So the last thing that I want to say that a lot of people don't talk about as well is e-commerce in general is just a highly volatile business. You have so many different customers, and honestly, the way that most people are growing e-com stores, myself included, is not very reliable and consistent. As you know, I've been relying on Facebook ads for my entire career. That's like mainly what I focus on. That's all that I do. But for my sake, you know, I have 50 plus stores that I'm managing. So, you know, if one of them gets banned, it's not that big of a deal for me. So I'm super diversified under one platform, where this is a warning to you that, you know, e-commerce, especially when reliant on a single platform, is super inconsistent. You can be doing 5K a day one day, and then the next day it literally just gets shut down and you're not making shit. And that's kind of just like, that's what happens if you rely on one platform and you don't diversify, especially if you don't have good customer support and good customer experience. You're just increasing the risk of like this happening to you. So I just want to make that clear, that just because you get to a point where you're making, you know, 5K a day in profit doesn't mean that you can just like go quit your job and move to fucking Hawaii and live this internet lifestyle. Essentially what it means is you now have a lot of work to do to make sure that you can keep that up. And, you know, part of what you can do to make sure that, you know, you're not going to get shut down overnight is diversify your revenue channels. Like, if you're mainly doing Facebook ads, head over to TikTok, head over to Google, Pinterest, Snapchat. Like, there's so many different ways that, you know, you can drive revenue. And, you know, TikTok might not be as profitable as Facebook, or Snapchat might not be as profitable as TikTok. It doesn't really matter. The point is, the more sales channels that you have, the more consistent that this is going to be. And another thing that a lot of people don't talk about is just like your organic following, like getting people to follow your social medias, getting people on your email list, that you can do to minimize the volatility. So, you know, like, let's say if you have Google ads, TikTok ads, all your organic platforms together, you might be able to do, you know, 2 to 3K a day with all those combined. So if your Facebook ads get banned and, you know, you already quit your job, then you have a Lambo and you move to Hawaii, at least you have your, you know, your foundation of like the organic posting, the email, TikTok ads, Google ads, you know, you're semi-diversified so that you don't lose your income overnight. So I think this is really important because, like I said, it's pretty easy to like scale a store to like 1,000 a day in profit, 3,000 a day in profit. And I don't want to see people think that this means that they can go all hail and spend all of it and live this crazy lifestyle and they're going to be making 1,000 a day for the rest of their life, because Mr. Zuck can come in one day and just take it all from you for no reason, literally no reason. He can just swoop in, steal your income, and it really isn't shit that you can do about it. What you should have done about it was, before that happened, you should have diversified amongst different platforms. So that's my 5 main things that I think everybody should know before getting into e-commerce or dropshipping in general. If you like this video, if you have anything that you want to add, leave it in the comment section, drop a comment, let me know your feedback. If you have anything that you want to tell other people that maybe I missed on this list, because this for sure is not everything, then for sure leave it in the comments. We're all here to learn, myself included. So you provide value to the other viewers, you provide value to me, and maybe we can have a discussion down there. I try to check my comments. As always, if you want to talk about joining my agency and actually working with me directly, the link will be in the description to schedule a call with my team. That's it for this video. This is Brewer, and I'm out. Peace.